Another big social media site got hacked. And oh, this one's a doozy. Talk about 4chan hack coming up next.
Welcome to Tech Topics brought to you by Cybervenger. We help keep small businesses stay protected and compliant with cutting-edge cybersecurity and IT solutions.
Okay, so 4chan, for those who don't know the site, it's probably for the best. 4chan is a bit of a dumpster fire when it comes to the content on the site. It's highly political, highly irreverent, profane's a good word. Yeah, not politically correct. But that's not really what the story is all about. The interesting story is how it got hacked and just how long it took for them to exploit weaknesses that have been around for a long time. So the problem with the 4chan site was that it is built on a proprietary code base. Someone hand coded, the inventor, the original creator of 4chan, wrote the entire site from scratch in PHP. Now, PHP is not a bad product, not a bad language to use, but PHP, the underlying code, has changed over the years, the PHP engine, and they stayed on an old, outdated version, I think even prior to version 7, which is getting up there. It was pretty old. And it didn't have certain protections to protect against SQL injection attacks. SQL injection attacks are very common. They've been around a long time. And basically, what you're doing is SQL is a language for talking to a database. And oftentimes, you can have a PHP program with the SQL statement in there, and you can throw that at the SQL server, and you get back whatever data you tell it. It's easy sometimes to, in unprotected sites, to create your own PHP on your own server and just have it call out one of the files on the server and just pass an SQL statement. Or if there's an SQL statement that's there, but it's allowing free-form text, you can append and modify the SQL statement to ask to expand more tables, to get different data, so on and so forth. I don't want to go too much into how an SQL injection works right now in this video, but that's a little primer to get your mind around what's going on. That looks like that's how they initially got in. Once they got in, though, they got everything. They completely owned the site. They had full admin access. In terms of what was taken, everything. They went through, they found a log of old deleted posts. They resurrected a sub that had been deleted. They brought it back. In fact, the only reason that the site owners know they were breached is because the attackers brought back a forum and said, haha, you've been hacked. All messages and users and content that was supposedly deleted, they had left the data on the server so they could use it later for archive purposes, whatever. So they deleted things, but never actually fully deleted them, cleared them up. And the users that use the site, their email addresses have been doxxed, all their posts, old posts, new posts, deleted posts, banned posts. They were able to unban accounts, which 4chan is famous. Like the good part of 4chan, it is really anti-censorship, and you can post anything you want, no matter how unpolitically sensitive it is. The downside is you can post anything you want, no matter how insensitive it is, regardless of, you can say some things I won't say in this video because I'll get banned just for quoting what can be done on 4chan. But those accounts and their email addresses and all the things that are said could be very damaging to one's reputation. Sometimes it's kind of earned. I mean, you're saying things that are just terrible, and if the world finds out, yeah, you kind of got to come in. You don't feel so bad, but you got to stick to the principle that's being violated. People's privacy, people being doxxed on what should be an anonymous platform. That's a dangerous thing. That's never a good thing. And people who are saying things that need to be said that are not the dominant political thought or not the political thought of their employers could also get banned and be persecuted for political speech. I mean, 4chan is a refuge for people who are banned elsewhere for saying things that are unpopular. And those things sometimes need to be said, and people that are saying them need to be protected. And that's a very bad development here. But the real story, in my opinion, as a cybersecurity person, isn't the political ramifications of the breach. It's more of just how long the site was up here and used and abused by so many people with this custom code and a lot of weaknesses where nothing happened that they know of. The problem is 4chan could have been breached for years. How would anyone know? I've said this in other videos. If people say, well, it's a good thing I've never been hacked, how do you know? How do you know you haven't been hacked? For those of you watching this video right now, how do you know your computer hasn't been compromised? What tells you that it hasn't been compromised? Maybe you're thinking, well, I haven't got any messages demanding ransom. I haven't any pop-ups coming up, spam advertising me. My computer's not running slow, therefore I haven't been hacked. That's things that tend to happen when you're hacked, but not always. Not always at all. I mean, there's all kinds they could be getting in, rummaging your data, and you don't know. And that's kind of what my point is with 4chan. 4chan is a company that the owner sold it. The original owner, I believe, sold it, the creator, and now it's under a new company. And they cheaped out in the back end. This is an example of what we call tech debt. It's not a thing that shows up on a balance sheet in a company, but when you put off upgrades and security and you ignore best practices because they're expensive, over time, those risks compound. Right now, 4chan's down. It's been down for a couple days, and there's no good way to secure it. The security vulnerabilities is a deep flaw in the very core of how the application is written. And now the source code of this application has been made public. That's one of the things they stole was the source code of their custom-made web form. They could have used, any innumerable web forum software out there exist. They could use any of them, but no, they had to hand code them. I don't like hand coding products from scratch if you have an alternative. I like open source. You can see what's going on under the hood. I don't like building it from scratch because you get no extra eyes on it but your own staff who can make mistakes. Clearly, mistakes have been made here. You're running outdated SQL, outdated code engines. The code itself is flawed. It's a miracle they hadn't been hacked before. And I kind of think that my thesis here, it's a theory, right? My thesis is that 4chan was, in fact, hacked many, many times. This is the first organization that hacked them loudly. So keep that in mind when you're using a site. You never know what it looks like under the hood. 4chan's huge. They're massive. They should know better. They're not a mom and pop site. So they should have had the money to fix this stuff, and they still didn't. So any big names that you're using out there that you just assume is running their site well, put as little information in any site you're using as possible. And maybe use email addresses that aren't directly associated with you for things. That could be just, multiple email addresses for multiple purposes. So you could kind of segment the damage control. Other tips, we have a whole video on tips on how to secure yourself. So I don't want to too off on the tangent there, but you get the idea. This is kind of a call to action on, makes me wonder what other sites are as badly secured as 4chan. Hopefully not too many, but you never know. The problem with closed source, you really just don't know. And eventually being closed source didn't help them. Eventually somebody figured it out and got in. And now everybody sees the source code and can exploit it, going forward. And maybe it was just on purpose. Maybe this is a honeypot for, well, invent your own government conspiracy here. Who knows? But the point, of course, is that when you have a site that's fundamentally built poorly, trying to fix it may be impossible. You may have to build from scratch. And God, what an effort that is. Can you imagine trying to build a whole new site like that from scratch and you're down the whole time? Or so vulnerable, you're going up and down like a yo-yo? So always make sure that you invest continually in your security as you go, so you don't build up technical debt that's unpayable, because it's just as real and vulnerable as having a lot of real debt. Like if you owe a bunch of US dollars or you owe a bunch of tech work, it's debt. It's the same, and it will eventually bite you in the ass. It's a risk. Just as financial debt is risky, tech debt is also very risky. It can back you into a corner very quickly when you don't have the time to respond. That's why it's so important to stay ahead of your IT curve and stay ahead of your schedule on maintenance, on security, on all the housekeeping practices that don't grab attention and don't look sexy, and don't sell your company to the next investor. They are ultimately what makes a company valuable, is that it's stable and durable. Don't neglect durability, folks. All right, that's all my rambling I want to do for today. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you all the next time.
Thanks for watching. We hope this video has provided valuable information to you. Be sure to share this video with other small business owners to spread the word about the importance of cybersecurity. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this. If you want more information about cybersecurity, visit us at www.cybervenger.com.